Wednesday night. My name is Tracy Madsen. I'm a certified professional dog trainer. For those of you that are new, I need to start the chat. Okay. Let me get the names out here. So if you're new, please just put your name and where you're from. If you're a regular, then I probably already have your name on a paper with where you're from. Maddie, there's no food. It's not food. It's just paper. See? Maddie's coming over to check it out and see like what's going on. So how's everybody's week been? For those of you that have joined and we've been kind of working on stuff, tell me how it's going. A training tip, I always like to start with something like a training tip or something. The one that kind of struck me this week is, I'm kind of turning this so I get rid of that glare. Hi, Miss Maddie. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, I just had yours out. Okay, you're entered. One thing that really struck me this week is I have a client, new puppy, and she is like freaking out. I mean, when I go over there, she's crying, the dog's biting her, she's trying to redirect, and I really didn't know what to tell her other than you just have to be consistent. Like, I know you're redirecting, you're doing everything I'm telling you to do, and it just takes constant like repetition. And like babies, you basically have a newborn when you have a puppy that's young. So I'm going to get some more names like just spread out so I can find them easier. So it's like having a newborn, and a newborn. Hey, Brian. Let me find Brian and Renee. There's Brian. And so, a baby's not going to learn something like the first time. So it's a lot of repetition of, oh, you can't bite me, but here's your toy. Or redirect to a snuffle mat or scatter feed or do something. But I almost wanted to say to this lady, well, you got a puppy. Like, what did you expect? You've had puppies before and you know what they do. So, yeah. So basically it is, my advice is no matter what age your dog is, try to enjoy the training and enjoy the journey with your dog, because someday, someday your dog will be older and will be really trained. And if you used like aversive, so back when I did use more aversive methods before I became a positive reinforcement trainer, once my dog got older and was like really well behaved and then started to get older, like I actually felt bad thinking back, like, oh my gosh, I remember when I did a leash pop, or I remember when I did this, and then I would feel bad. So as you're on this journey with your dog, just enjoy all of it, the bad and the good, and just try to make it all good, just so it's going to help you increase the bond you have with your dog, and it's going to make training a lot more fun. And that's one thing that I've tried to do with Jade, because Jade can be, she's so adorable, but man, she can try your patience. So one thing that I've been trying to do with her is just like enjoy the training, learn from her. Like, I make lots of mistakes. So I learn from her, like what could work better? What could we do here? And just enjoy the journey with your dog. That's why we got dogs, right? It was to live life with them. And so that's my advice. Here's Renee and here's Willow. So let me go back up and start to answer questions. Della, I have been trying to teach or train a 7-year-old to not bark at the neighbor's cat. She's a rescue dog. Okay. There's not really a short answer for that. If your dog is already 7 and has been practicing this behavior for a long time, it's going to take longer to fix it. And let's say, sorry, I have a TENS unit on the back of my neck because it's been hurting. So now I've got to move these pads somewhere else. So if your dog's already 7, let's say that the dog barks at the cats and the cats run away. And every time your dog barks at the cats run away. So that becomes reinforcing to the dog, like I can, like if I bark, I can get him to run away. So then it's reinforcing, and behavior that's reinforced is going to continue. So that's one thing that may take a little bit longer. But one thing that you can do is think about what you want your dog to do instead. So you could, and I think a lot of it's going to depend on the circumstance and exactly like what it looks like. But you could do like the engage disengage game where you teach your dog just to notice the cat and then disengage and look at you for a treat. And then you can slowly move closer. If there is no chance of your dog ever catching one of the cats, I would not do this if there is a chance that your dog could get the cat. Okay, but there is something called the Premack Principle, which a friend of mine, really good trainer, got me thinking about different ways to use this, and it really works. So as an example, her dog liked to go out and bark at the neighbors or at the squirrels or at the birds. So she would teach like a recall. And at first, so like her dog would go out, is barking at the tree, bark, 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 because there's squirrels up there. And she would do her recall. If her dog didn't come, like she would actually go out and get the dog and kind of help it with the leash and mark and treat. So when I say mark, I mean either the clicker or do like a yes and divert the dog's attention back to you. And then she built on that until she could be like at the back door of her house, call the dog would come, get a reward, and then she would say, okay, go see. So she basically let the dog go back and bark. So when the dog listens and does a recall, gets a treat, and then gets to go bark again. So you might think, well, yeah, but then I'm reinforcing that barking behavior. No, I mean, you are reinforcing the fact that your dog is leaving the bark, like not barking, coming to you, getting a reward, and then going to bark again. So then eventually it just kind of becomes not fun anymore, and the dog's like, stop doing it. So, or if the cats are out and you could like sometimes let your dog go bark. Like, if the cats are on the other side of a fence, something like that where there's no chance of your dog being able to get a cat, then you could do that. Or if let's say a cat wanders into your yard and you call your dog, then I would bring the dog in and then let do something really fun like a snuffle mat or scatter feed or treat dispensing toys or something like that, so that instead of barking at the fence, your dog gets to come in and have this really cool, like almost like a circus type thing. Like there's snuffle mat, lick mat, Kong wobbler, like all this stuff laying there that your dog gets to do instead of barking at the cat. So does that make sense? Another thing that I do is my dogs will bark when, other dogs walk by or people walk by or the neighbors out mowing the lawn. They will bark and I let them bark once. So I allow them to bark once to alert me. My dogs really don't bark unless there's something to bark at. So I will go out to see what they're barking at, and then I will use what we call a positive interrupter, which is a word like enough. And then I'll say, okay, guys, enough. It's just the neighbors. If they continue to bark, then I bring them in and I'll say, come on, girls, let's go. We're going in this way. And then they just have to stay inside until the neighbor's done. But a lot of times if you go out and say like, oh, it's just the cats, enough. We're good, got it. Then it kind of like relieves the dog from duty. So like you did your job. So I'm going to take over now, like enough barking, reward your dog when he stops barking, and let him know that you've got it. If he wants to continue barking, like I would just bring him in until the cats are gone. So those are two options that you could do. So you could do the Premack Principle one, where you call your dog, reward the dog for coming, and then let it go bark again. And you could actually like call your dog and then keep your dog for, do more things like do a sit, do a hand target, do a down, and then say, okay, go, and then let the dog go again. And then eventually have it more fun to be with you and doing all these things for treats rather than barking at the cats. The other one is a positive interrupter, where you basically say, okay, that's enough, got it, thank you, and then reward your dog for not barking or bring your dog in. So I hope that helps. Also, Della, if you want to tell me where you're from, I can enter you in the drawing for a free bag of training treats. Mine's almost gone. These are the salmon ones. But yeah, these are so good. That's all I use. Willow, I am going to, oh man, Maddie, you hurt the treat basket, huh? We'll give you some later, okay, sweetheart? I'm going to take my dog to doggy daycare and see how she does. Good. I mean, doggy daycare is not for every dog, but for a lot of dogs, it can be great. I used to take one of my dogs, but he kind of got banned for playing too rough, because he was pit bull, and pit bulls play really rough. So anyway, yeah, see how it goes. I know a lot of people love daycare. They love that their dog gets to go play all day, and it tires them out, and they come home exhausted and sleep. So it's good. If it doesn't work, don't feel bad, because it is not for every dog. I have a dog that loves other dogs and is good with any board and train I bring in. But if I put her in a large group of dogs, she would be so scared she would lose it. So I just know not to do that. Nicole, we didn't pass the CGC. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Which ones did you not pass? Just out of curiosity. There's two that are common that people don't pass. Oh, I think you answered it down here. Kristen, hello. Let me find Kristen's. I have more than one Kristen. Let's see. Kristen, I know I have a thing for you. Let me make sure I didn't already put it in. Okay, I'm just going to hurry and make you another one, because I could have sworn that I had one for you. But I can't find it. So I'm just going to make another one. I've got spray cheese over here and got too much stuff going on right here. Okay, so while I'm making Kristen's name for the drawing, I'll read Nicole's. So, Nicole, we passed the sessions that I thought would give us trouble, but on the loose leash walk, Wilma did the course great until the end. At the end, she was supposed to sit beside me, but tried to wander off to her bed. Loose leash walking in all the practices had been her best item. Weird, because when I do the loose leash walking, I just, I'll say, like forward, right turn, left turn, stop, forward. But I don't make the dog like sit at the end. It's just like after they demonstrate all that, then I'm like, okay, great, you got that one. So it may just have been something extra that the evaluator wanted to put in there. But if you had done all of it except for at the very end, I probably would have still passed you. But like all evaluators are different, and some are a lot harder on things and some are lenient. I tend to be harder on some stuff. But anyway, I'm sorry that you didn't pass, but you can take it again, right? And now you can practice the ones that you missed and keep practicing it and do it again. The very first CGC test that I took with my dog, we failed the first time. Wait. The CGC he passed, but the therapy dog test, which is similar to the CGC plus some stuff added on, he did not pass the first one. And I was devastated. I was so upset, but we did it the second time and he did it. He did it great the second time. So, hi, Karen. Let me find Karen's. So yeah, a lot of people, there's Karen. A lot of people fail the first time. And I think a lot of it is because you're testing, you're nervous. And so then your dog is nervous. But then as you go, it gets easier. I'm a terrible test taker. Okay. Awful. I like being the evaluator, but so every level that I have to test with Jade, hey Jade, leave your chin alone. Jade, she's got stitches, so I don't want her scratching. Anyway, every time I have to test, and I think it's because I'm a trainer and I have another trainer evaluating me, so it's like you're self-conscious because it's like, oh, what if I pass? Then this trainer's going to think I'm a terrible trainer. And I get nervous and I make my dog nervous. So we don't typically do well on tests. But for service dog, I mean, we have to do it. So we have to do it. I'm just trying to, do the best I can and get to where it's like, you'd think after 7 levels that I would be used to it, but I'm not. Okay, Della, I'm going to add you in from Illinois. So we have, we have other people from Illinois here as well. Della Monroe. Okay, I will add you. So basically, after an hour, we'll do a drawing. And if I draw your name, you win a free bag of training treats. So you will email Pupford. I'll put the email address at the end. and you'll just email them and tell them what flavor you want. They have salmon, rabbit, beef liver, chicken, and sweet potato. So you can try one if you haven't tried it before. Della, she is only interested in Dr. Marty's food and peanut butter. Well, so you could do a lick mat. So a lick mat is just like what's it made out of? It's not rubber. I can't think of it. But anyway, there's different ones. You can look on the Pupford site. They have some lick mats. And you can use the Dr. Marty's peanut butter and spread it on the lick mat and give that to your dog. So licking is very self-soothing, and it's peanut butter. And so a lot of times it can be enough to distract a dog. When you say Dr. Marty's food, if that's like dog food or something, you could use that. And when your dog is barking at the cats, you could redirect and throw a bunch of the Dr. Marty's food in the lawn and say, go hunt, and then get your dog redirected from, instead of barking, let's do this go hunt with all this food. Or here, I'm going to give you a lick mat with peanut butter. So, yeah, she does have sensitive digestion, so I don't push her. Yeah, sometimes it can be really hard. If you have a dog that has allergies and stuff. So I had somebody here at my house yesterday, and their dog has a lot of allergies. And so it couldn't have any of the treats that I had here. And so the owner brought a baggie of the stuff that this dog can have, but unfortunately didn't bring enough. So the dog can have cheese. And luckily I had, string cheese in my fridge, so I was able to use that. So yeah, if your dog has a lot of like issues, sensitive digestion, try to find one or two things that your dog can have and then use those. So like the Dr. Marty's food, I'm not sure what that is, but if it's like kibble, you could use that in a snuffle mat, because dogs like to forage for food. So you could do that. So you could put out a snuffle mat and a lick mat with peanut butter on it, and that's what you could use. Let's see. Oh, 6 months before the next test. Yeah. So usually when I do it, I charge. I mean, I just kind of add it on to the class fee, but they get 3 chances, so they can do it for free 3 times total before they have to pay again. And usually people pass it on the second time. So silicone, that's it. Thank you, Karen. Silicone. I couldn't think of the word. Nicole, so Jade had an abscess, and so they had to do something with her tooth, and she's got stitches, and so I don't want her scratching them. But she's fine. Jade, come here. Come say hi to everybody. See, she's fine. That's a good girl. Okay. Yeah, so that's just what she did. Probably eating something she's not supposed to do. Huh. So they had to go in and kind of like fix a tooth and sew up her gum and stuff like that. Huh. She gets into everything. Okay, Andrea, I don't know. Oh, I do. Florida. I have you. Awesome. Karen, I don't know, Karen, if I have a thing for you. So if you want to tell me where you're from, I will enter you into the drawing. So yeah, I'm so excited. starting to like learn everybody's names. And I have all these spread out, so sometimes they're hard to find. Yes. Oh, Karen Chesbro. I know where you're from. I was talking about Karen Byrne, Michigan. Okay, so let me make you one. I love that we're getting new people, or at least people who haven't been here for a while. Michigan. Okay, you are entered in the drawing. Oh, this is your first time. Perfect. Well, welcome. We do this every week. No, you can ask any question you want. There's not a theme. It's like any dog training or dog behavior question. I can't answer questions on foods because I don't know enough. I don't answer like medical questions because I'm not a veterinarian. But most everything else I can answer, or I'll say I don't know and I'll try to find an answer for you. So Karen, you are entered into the drawing. So for you guys that are new, we do this every week, and we do change the days, sometimes between Wednesdays and Thursdays. And we do them either at 5, 6, or 7 p.m. We kind of alternate just so that the West Coast and East Coast people like both have a chance to join. So I usually post on Mondays or Tuesdays on the Perfect Pup Zach George Pupford page. I usually post there what day and time that the live's going to be each week. So okay, let me go back and see if I missed anybody. Hi, Willow, I think. Did I put you in yet? I wish I had. I think I put you in, Willow, because I saw you. I want to make sure. Oh, yep, I did. I wish I had somebody else sitting right here that could do this part. Okay, Willow, do you think it's a good idea to take my dog to daycare? Sorry, I was gone. It depends. So it totally depends on the dog. I have some clients whose dog loves it and does great there. I always look at things like ratio of dogs to human staff. So I've gone in some daycares before that there's like 30 dogs and one person watching. That's too many. It should be one staff member for every 8 to 10 dogs. I look to see if they separate out the really tiny dogs from the big dogs, because some little dogs love to play with big dogs, but some little dogs will get really overwhelmed and scared, if this big Great Dane or German Shepherd is chasing them around. So it can be good. My very first pit bull went to daycare and he loved it. Like, he would get so excited as we were driving down the road because he knew where we were going. And he loved going, and he came home exhausted, but he plays really rough. And so he actually got banned from daycare because he was playing too rough with certain dogs. Like, one week he was playing with this little French bulldog puppy that was like 10 weeks old, and they played together the whole time. Didn't play with anybody else. They just played with each other and did great. But if it was another large dog, like, he would just get overly aroused. So I stopped taking him. But if it's a good daycare, like, they'll do a temperament test. They'll see if your dog can handle it, things like that. I would also watch and see if you can like from a distance so your dog can't see you. Watch and see what's going on. See if your dog is having fun, or if your dog is like retreating, trying to hide, tail tucked. Because if your dog is not having fun, then I wouldn't take him. But yeah, my dogs would probably like it, but since I have so many, I can't afford to do daycare for all these dogs. Plus they have each other to play with, so I don't really need to do daycare. But yeah, I think daycares are great. Like I said, make sure there are enough humans to dogs. Ask them if they separate large from small, things like that. And then watch and see how your dog does. See if the dog's having fun or not. Willow, I'm starting school hopefully after the next 6 days. Oh, awesome. Good luck. I'm excited for you. Let me know how it goes. You can keep us updated every week. Nicole, so I started shadowing the trainers on Sunday and loved it. Oh, good. There's a guy that's been reaching out, and he's going to start shadowing me. He's going to Catch Academy and has to shadow. So he's over an hour away from me. So I think he's going to bring like a motorhome or something and just stay up here for 3 days and shadow me to get all of his hours like all at once. So yeah, you'll love it. Willow, I got a different size muzzle for my dog. It's a 6. The 5 fits her too much and she fights me more with it compared to the 6. So let me go back. Okay, Willow, once you said muzzle and that your dog is starting to warm up to other dogs, I don't know that I would do daycare yet. Sorry. It's sometimes hard for me to remember like which dog behaviors go with which person. If you're muzzling your dog and he's just starting to or she's just starting to warm up to dogs, then I don't think daycare is going to work yet. You could work up to that, but I don't think I would do it yet. If she still has to wear a muzzle around other dogs, I wouldn't do it. You would need to do some more work outside of daycare, do some introductions, and plus, daycares are really stressful, in my opinion. When I go to doggy daycares, I teach my classes at a doggy daycare, and I've been there before to work with other clients' dogs, and I get anxiety. I mean, it is like there's all these dogs and all this energy, and I think that for your dog, it might be too overwhelming right now. And I would maybe wait a little bit and do some one-on-one. So let your dog meet another dog, and with the muzzle, like, see if your dog wants to play. See if your dog, like elicits play with another dog. I would do that first before you try to put your dog in a daycare. Unless it's a daycare that has like only 5 or 6 dogs. But if the daycare has like 30 dogs, I think that would be way too much for your dog and might even set your training back. Because if your dog gets really overwhelmed and reacts, then it could have like the opposite effect, and then it would kind of ruin all the stuff you've done up until now. So now knowing that, I would for sure wait. I wouldn't do it yet. Okay, so you plan on taking her to a place that you want to work at. Yeah, you could. Just make sure that your dog doesn't like resource guard you from other dogs. And so I worked with a gal this week or last week that actually works at a doggy daycare, and her dog does not like it, does not play with other dogs, gets super stressed, and will actually like pinpoint certain dogs and then go after them. And so even though she works there, her dog has to stay in one of the offices because it's too overwhelming for the dog. So yeah, I guess you can just see how it goes. But try to do it in a way that your dog's not going to get stressed, because we don't want to set her back. Okay, Nicole, Moose would do good in one, but Wilma would prefer to not do that. Yeah, I mean, it's totally dog dependent, and a lot of times it's group dependent too, like how big are the groups, stuff like that. Okay, Karen, I'm struggling with my dog Jake's recall. He has recently started eating other dogs' poop. Vet check, okay. I think I have ruined leave it. How can I help him? He won't take a treat instead, and I don't have a lot of other options for places to walk him. Okay, great question. So the first thing with the recall, coming to you has to be more fun and exciting than anything else. So I always start it on leash. So even Jade, who is 3 years old, and I've been working on this for 2, in certain circumstances, I don't trust her off leash to come when I call her. So, because if we're up in the mountains and she's smelling squirrels and deer poop and all that stuff, she's not even going to hear me. So then instead of saying come, because like leave it, you can ruin come. So instead of using that, I'll whistle, I'll say, let's go, we're leaving, come on this way. And I'll say something else. And then I reward when she'll eventually come, but maybe like not right at first. If I really am wanting to work on recall, then what I do is I start with a 6-foot leash, and I just work on recall with a 6-foot leash. And then I'll do a 15-foot leash, give her more freedom. And then as soon as she comes on a 15-foot, like 10 times in a row, then I'll go to a 20 or a 30-foot. So I keep giving the dog like more. So I don't start with it off leash, because, I could say come all day long and she's probably not going to come because she's off sniffing. And that's another problem, is if you say come and your dog is off sniffing stuff and exploring and having fun, then they're actually getting reinforced for ignoring you. So that's why I say another word if I'm not totally sure that they're going to come. So basically my rule is I don't use COME unless I'm 100% sure my dog's going to come. So I'll whistle, use another word, or I'll practice it on leash. And I use higher value treats for that. So like, let's say I'm using bacon. So we'll be out on a walk. I have my dog on a 15-foot leash. I'll, say COME. And then if she comes on her own, great. If she doesn't, then I start to reel her in with the leash. But the whole time I'm reeling her in, I'm like, oh, let's go. This is so fun. Let's go this way. So I use my high squeaky teenage voice. I try to make it super fun and exciting. She comes, she gets a piece of bacon, and then I say, okay, go play. So in her world, it's like I go to mom, I get a really yummy treat, and then I get to go play again. So you want to make sure that you're not calling your dog if you're going to do something negative. So if it's something like, I'm going to leash you up, or I'm going to give you a bath, or I'm going to cut your nails, or I'm going to take you to the vet, I don't use recall for that, because otherwise the dog will think, well, last time I came, you gave me a bath, so I'm not going to come anymore. So it always has to be positive. And then after that, I will have the dog drag a leash so that if I do a recall and the dog doesn't come, I can pick up the leash and then kind of help reel the dog in. And then I'll practice like in an enclosed tennis court or like a dog park with no dogs in it, but someplace where your dog can't like run off, and practice there. And it's only then that if my dog has a really solid recall, then I'll start to trust him off leash, like hiking and stuff. But there's always going to be something that your dog may find too interesting and won't come. Like, let's say your dog sees a moose for the first time or a skunk and is like, oh my gosh, what is this? So that's why coming to you has to be the most fun, exciting, and rewarding thing in the world. With Leave It, kind of the same thing. I start with a milk bone and I'll do Leave It. And then when the dog like leans back or leaves it, then I give them a better treat. So the reward always has to be better than what you're asking your dog to leave. So we did this last night in puppy class, as a matter of fact. So we started with milk bones and they got a treat. Then we did cheese. So you leave cheese, but then you get a piece of hot dog. And then you leave pizza crust, but you get chicken. Like, it depends on what your dog likes and what's higher up on the food chain. So the reward for the Leave It is always better than what you're asking them to leave. Okay. And if you've already ruined Leave It, use another word. I use Phooey. It's the German one. It's Phoey, I think. So Phooey. That's what I use for Leave It. So find out what Leave It is in another language and use that. Or I have one client that uses Ignore. So if the dog runs up to something, then he'll say Ignore. And again, I teach this on leash always, and I do it the same way I do recall. So I ask the dog to leave it, and if he does it on his own, then I reward with something better. If he doesn't leave it, then I have the leash and I can like start to walk backwards and help him leave it. And then as soon as he turns towards me, I click and treat. So if any of you want my handouts on recall, I have 2 handouts on recall games, and then you can have my Leave It handout. So I'm putting my email address in the chat. It's just Tracy with an I at Pupford.com. So feel free to email me and I will send you my handouts. And then you can kind of like go step by step. Oh, that's a great idea, Andrea. Try a squeaky toy. Depending on your dog. So like I have all pit bulls or pit mixes, and they're terriers, and so they love to go hunt for voles and gophers and stuff like that. And so anything that squeaks, my dogs love. So I might actually try that. Andrea, thank you for that suggestion. That's awesome. Yes, try a squeaky toy. It might work. I worked with a dog today that was like absolutely crazy about tennis balls. And so we used a tennis ball as a reward. And I would just like toss it up in the air and the dog would jump up and grab it. Loved it. Liked that better than treats. Yeah, so if he's not a toy fan, I would go with treats. But even the squeaky toy doesn't have to be a toy that he plays with, but it's just the sound, like the squeak. It might be like let's say you have your dog on a leash and you're walking, and you say like Leave It or come, and then you like squeak the toy enough just to get your dog to like turn towards you. Click and treat that, and just start with getting the head turn. And then you can work on reeling your dog in that way. And sometimes we have to do like tests on, I would do preference tests when I worked in rescue to find what a dog really liked. So I would make a little pile of hot dogs, little pile of cheese. I would use like the little Smokies. I would use beef jerky. And then I would bring the dog in and see which one they went for first. So you can try with different things and try experimenting, like, does my dog like cheese, or is beef jerky like the best of the best? Or hot dogs are pretty cheap, and I cut them this way and then this way, and then I like dice them, so I use little tiny quarters. So you could do that. And you can do the same thing with a toy. Like, does he like something? I mean, you wouldn't take this on a hike, obviously, but something like this where they have to figure out how to get the treats out. Or, I mean, I have a bunch of toys over here that, like, sometimes they love them and sometimes they leave them. It just kind of depends on what kind of mood they're in. But doing a toy preference test as well. So my dogs love the stuff that they can really, I don't give my dogs squeaky toys because they are shredded in 5 seconds. So I don't even waste my money on those. But they like stuff like antlers, or the new toys they have out, the new chew items they have out that are made out of real wood, but it's not like chewing on real wood. But a lot of dogs love to chew on wood. And so I get these toys that like smell like wood, taste like wood, and they love chewing on those. So, like, I get them all these really cool toys that I think look fun, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. I want to go chew on my piece of wood. So I'm like, fine, you can chew on your piece of wood. Okay, let me go back really quick and make sure that I have gotten everybody's question. If I haven't answered your question, leave a comment. Oh, another thing I did, Nicole, is when I had to take the therapy dog test again, what I did was I practiced like out in the road in front of my house, or I'd go to a parking lot, and I would basically go through as much of the test as I could with just me and the dog. Or if I could find a helper, I would have a helper come. But I would practice like for 10, I mean, the test takes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I would like practice doing the loose leash walk. I would practice the sit, the down, the stay, the come, and basically work for 15 minutes. And then at the end, I would reward my dog, just so the dog gets used to like working this long without a treat and then getting a really good treat at the end. And I would just go do lots of loose leash patterns, just practice going front, right turn, left turn, U-turn. When you stop, ask for a sit. I did that a lot. And one thing that I allow, let me see your ear. One thing that I let people that I test do, and I do this, is I'm really engaged with the dog. So if I'm testing, especially with Jade, because she gets so distracted, and what are you guys doing? She gets so distracted. So then I'll say, oh, Jade, we're going to go for a little walk, and you're going to pay attention. Oh, that's such a good girl. Thanks for checking in with me. Oh, we're going to walk by this hydrant now. And I mean, I don't stop talking to her, but she's looking at me. She's engaged. And I'll say, okay, we're going to do a right turn now. Okay, now we're going to go left. And I literally carry on a conversation with my dog. And that's how we get through kind of the loose leash walking part, because she gets super distracted and wants to sniff everything on the ground. So just keep practicing and you've got it next time. Della, I am going to, after this, look up Dr. Marty's food because now I'm curious as to what it is. Okay. I'm just making sure. So, Willow, which school did you decide to go to? I can't remember. If it was AB, is it Animal Behavior College? Is that the one you're doing? And Nicole, I think you're doing one as well, right? Because we talked about this a lot last time. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Andrea. It can be great, but tour the location, do research, ask for references, pop in unannounced, and just ask if you can look. So the really scary thing is, I used to work at a vet clinic across the street from a doggy daycare, and they used to have like a dog fight here and there that they would bring over to us to stitch up, and then I would have to take the dog back. One time I took the dog back, there was nobody at the front. I looked in the glass, and there were 30 to 40 dogs in there and not one human. Nobody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if there was a dog fight? I went back, and they were back at the very end of the hall in the break room. And I said, why isn't anybody out with the dogs? And they're like, oh, we have the camera on. We can see them. And I'm like, I don't care if there is, if something, like if a large dog grabs a small dog or if a fight starts, it's going to take you at least like 5 or 10 seconds to get there. So that's the kind of stuff I don't like. So drop in unannounced, ask if you can watch, really check out the facility first. I know there's some really, really good ones, and then there's some not so good ones. And Willow, depending on, I think some of it comes at the end of, like they do some of the schooling and then they go at the end. But yeah, like Nicole said, if, like she just asked and they let her do it. I mean, I guess you have to have so many hours anyway of shadowing somebody, so you might as well just do it. Start doing it. I would also try to shadow different trainers. I mentored under one fabulous trainer, but then when I got into it, like I started shadowing other trainers and just saying, like, next time you get a separation anxiety case or an aggression case, can I come watch? And so I learned a lot by just shadowing other trainers because everybody has their different style. A friend of mine, she's really cute and bubbly and really a good people person. I'm more of the dog person. So she loves working with the humans. I like working with the dogs. So like you would get a totally different experience shadowing her than you would shadowing me. So it's good to learn from different people and say, like, oh, I really like that she does that. I'm going to steal that. And most trainers don't care if you like steal stuff. I mean, within reason, like techniques and stuff. I have a friend that makes some great handouts, and I'm like, oh, do you care if I use that? And she's like, no, use whatever. So good trainers will do that. They will be happy to share their stuff with you and help you succeed. So, but yeah, the more that you can shadow lots of different people, the better. Let's see. I think we have a few more questions. And then I'll do a drawing about, in 5 minutes, and then anybody else that wants to stay on and ask questions, they can. Karen, he has one toy he likes to play with for about 30 seconds a day, but only when he wants to. Yeah, he's been interesting to work with. Karen, what kind of dog is it? I'm just curious. Because sometimes, dogs genetically were bred for different things. So if you can find something that is kind of unique to that breed, it makes it easier. So that's why I think a squeaky toy would work really well for my dogs, because they're terriers and they like to go after things that squeak. Trying to think of another example. For a herding breed, if you could do a few things like scatter feed, let the dog use their nose to forage for the food, or like have your dog herd balls. So a friend of mine has a border collie, so she does tri-ball in her backyard. So it's basically teaching the dog to push a ball into a net. And they do that. So Nicole, one thing I talked to the trainer about is I took Wilma for a 2-mile walk prior. Trainer thought that since Wilma is kind of low energy, I may need to walk shorter prior to next test. Yeah, it depends. I would kind of take my dog out first and tire them out a little bit. And then when I got to where the test was, I walked him around the grounds outside, made sure the dog pottied. I also got there a little bit early. We used to test at an assisted living. So I would just grab a hall where nobody was there and practice some of the stuff, like a sit, a down, a stay, a recall, leash walking, just to get the dog like in training mode and testing mode. And I did all of that before we went in and did the actual test. So, yeah, you might do just a little bit shorter. It could have been that Wilma was so tired that she couldn't focus, which is like totally possible. Nicole, I'm kind of leaning towards VSA. Oh, yeah, Victoria Stillwell. I have taken some KPA classes, but haven't signed up for a professional trainer program yet. Yep, I think both of those, Victoria Stillwell or Karen Pryor, are both going to be really good. Your trainer did KPA and the Academy for Dog Trainers, and she recommends the Academy. That's interesting, because most people that I know of that have done KPA loved it and would recommend it. I actually have not ever looked into Academy for Dog Trainers, so I am not familiar with that one. I'm shadowing 3 different ones, as there are 3 in the group, but have one that is a pretty good friend, so I sit with her and ask her the most questions. Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Don't steal the trainer's dog, though. Yeah. I have a lot of people that want to steal Jade or Maddie. All my dogs are like pretty good and well behaved. And so I always have people saying, oh my gosh, will you trade me dogs? I'm like, oh no, I work too hard to get them where they are. So yeah, I don't know of any trainers that would give up their dogs. Karen, he's a Shih Tzu mix. He's a rescue from a terrible situation and he never learned to play. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Hi, Kirsten. I just saw your handout or your thing, so I'm going to add it in right now. So I adopted a dog from a dog fight bust, and she had never learned to play. But she eventually did. Like, it took a long time, but the first time I saw her go get a toy and lay down and chew it, it was like the best thing ever. And I just praised her like, oh, good girl, Hallie. That's so good. I'm so proud of you. So I think your dog could learn to play with toys. Yeah, and he might be like still a little bit, shut down or shy and fearful. So I would probably then go for the food. But I always like to start getting a dog's nose engaged and get the nose going. So do a snuffle mat with whatever he likes, put that in the snuffle mat. Do the scatter feeding. If he likes cheese, I know you said he likes the food and peanut butter, but let's just say he likes cheese. I will take string cheese and just make it into little teeny pieces and then throw it in the lawn and say, go hunt. And get him using his nose and get him foraging, because that's going to give him some confidence as well. So one of the other things that I like to use with the shy dogs are something like this, where you put the food in and it can either be his kibble, and oops, I think I just broke it. Way to go. And I don't have nails long enough to, oh, there we go. So you can like put food here, and depending on how big the food is, close this, and then let him like figure out how to get it out. So like treat dispensing toys that they roll around and have the food come out, or like a snuffle mat or something like that. That can be really good to like give him some confidence, get his nose engaged. You can also, another what I like is I save all my like Amazon Pupford boxes, the smaller ones. I save them. I'll start with 3, and I have 3 boxes out, and then I'll put a piece of cheese in one of them. And then I'll bring the dog in and I'll say, find it. And then they sniff the boxes, and you can tell when they hit on the one with the cheese in it. And then I will like mark and reward. And it's like, oh, yeah, you found it. And then I open the box, give him the cheese. So you can do that, or put something in that he does like. And then I add boxes. So then I'll go to 4 boxes, and then 6, and then 8. I usually don't go past 10, but then the dog goes and has to sniff and find it. But you're engaging the nose, engaging the brain, which releases the dopamine in the brain. And it's fun for the dogs. They're natural foragers, and it's going to increase his confidence. So I would totally do one of those. And Karen, if you want to email me and ask for my enrichment handout, I'm happy to send that to you as well. Yep. Scatter feed, snuffle mats, lick mats. Those are the best. So yeah, if he's 6, he's had quite a long time to be like shy and fearful, and you've only had him 9 months. I mean, it took, I want to say, it took several months before Hallie would even just hand target. And it took a lot longer than that before she was comfortable enough to play with a toy. So yeah, it does take time. So you just go baby steps. Like if your dog were to just go up and sniff a toy, praise, drop a treat, just reward even the littlest steps, and that will help a lot. Oh yeah, Nicole, I know you were just kidding. Yeah, and when they play, like the first time I saw Hallie get the zoomies, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's incredible. And the first time I saw her like get the zoomies with my other dog and actually play with toys, like it was amazing. So Nicole, I have a 15-year-old dog. He loves to play, but is extremely picky. Yeah, and some dogs are. Treat ball, yeah, treat balls are really good. Hi, Julie. Julie, of course I'll enter you. You're helping kids with homework, and you still stopped in to say hi. So I will add you. Okay, looks like that's all the questions. So I am going to go ahead and do a drawing. I'll put the winner in down here. Oh, Della Monroe from Illinois. A new person. Awesome. So, Della, what you are going to do is email hello@pupford.com. I just put it in the chat, and tell them what kind of treats you want. If you're not familiar with them, they have salmon, rabbit. Those are my two favorites. I also love the beef liver, chicken, and sweet potato. So they will send you a free bag of training treats. So congratulations, and thanks for joining, everybody. I don't know if I've done the May schedule yet, so I'm not sure when our live is next week. Nope, I haven't even decided. So I need to go see. Yes, I will put my email in here. Well, you just won, so that's awesome. Yeah, Renee, see you next week. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so Della, you're gonna email. Did I already put that in? Yeah, hello@pupford.com. I email them as well and tell them that you won, and just tell them what kind of treats you want, and they'll get them mailed out. And then if you want any of the handouts we talked about tonight, recall, leave it, enrichment, email me. Sometimes it takes me a couple days to get to my emails, but I will send you the handouts. Happy that, so just let me know what you need. And I'll post Monday-ish and let you know what the schedule is for next week. I think I'll probably just do Wednesday at 6 again and then start rotating them. So thanks for joining. You guys have a wonderful week. I love you guys. I love that you come every week. And I will see you next week.